Hey everyone, today is March 22nd, and today, talking about Bitcoin's price, I want to talk about where I think Bitcoin is going. Do I think Bitcoin has reached the top after a spectacular run over the past couple months, or are we going to continue to grind higher? Before I talk more about the price of Bitcoin and where I think it's going, please read this disclaimer. You can pause this video while you read it. Okay, so these past couple days, Bitcoin has basically been slumping, and I think a lot of it has, and really this past month, right? And here we had Elon Musk saying that Tesla was buying Bitcoin. He had a huge push up, which really brought us, because we had a spectacular run from last year when we finally broke the all-time high around 20,000, came all the way up to 42, and had a pullback and retested the support at this Fibonacci level, bounced off the 100 daily simple moving average, and this was when Elon kind of hinted at buying Bitcoin. This was when he was pumping Dogecoin, right? But finally we got confirmation that Tesla was going to buy Bitcoin for their balance sheet, and we had this huge pump. And since then we had this amazing run up to around 58,000. Then we came back down, retested this Fibonacci level, and then made a run for 60,000 and got rejected. And we've basically been sideways for the past couple of days. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One is obviously things are getting a little bit overbought. If you look at the weekly and the monthly we've had pretty much going near vertical at this point. 6 monthly green candles in a row, right? And we look at the weekly chart, like everything is overbought right now. So it's not a surprise that we might see some selling pressure or some people taking some profits, right? Which is definitely having an impact on the price. This isn't just going to go straight up forever, and it's not healthy. We don't want that, especially this early in this year, right? If we all want Bitcoin to go up to 100, 200, 400,000, we want it to go up in at least initially sustained before we go parabolic, because Bitcoin historically during the bullish mania phase, right? Like 2017, 2013, it always goes up a little bit and then it gets more and more parabolic. And that usually happens near the end of the year. So that's what we want to see. So having a correction or even a red month is not a bad thing. It's actually healthy, especially if you want Bitcoin to continue going higher. We don't want Bitcoin to just peak at this price and then just suddenly sell off, right? We want it to continue higher. So I think that a bit of consolidation, a bit of sideways market is actually a good thing. And let's actually talk about what's happened in the last 24 hours. So this is the 30-minute chart, and I like to use this chart to really talk about what we've seen. Each candle represents 30 minutes. So we opened today down, and we recovered basically sideways, and then suddenly we saw the price just basically, I want to say capitulate, but just at least in the short term, like definitely a lot of downward pressure. And this is just recent. This is like the last hour or so, and the close in about 2 hours. So why is this happening? Well, we already said some of it, in terms of being overbought, but there's also pressure from treasury rates, right? Treasury rates have been rising over the past few weeks. So essentially this is 10-year yield, 30-year yield, and this is putting a lot of pressure on Bitcoin, especially with the rising dollar as well. And the reason why is that Bitcoin, whether people can argue with me on this point or not, but Bitcoin is a risk-on asset, right? It's a risk-on asset. It's like a tech stock in that it behaves a lot like a tech stock. Like when tech stocks were selling off, when the yields were rising over the last few weeks, Bitcoin would have the same sell-offs. It would move a lot similar to how the Nasdaq would move. And I think a lot of it is just, people can talk about how Bitcoin is not correlated to the market, but the more institutions that are buying into Bitcoin, the more people from Wall Street that are buying into it, especially like companies like Tesla, right? They're investing into Bitcoin onto their balance sheet, and it's more Wall Street. They're trying to get exposure via maybe trusts like Grayscale, Bitcoin Trust, like GBTC, and we'll talk about that later in this video, or other institutions that are trying to create Bitcoin ETFs for America. Like we're seeing more institutions, they want more exposure into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. as cryptocurrencies start to prove themselves as something that's not just a flash in a pan, right? Bitcoin is here to stay, and it could be a very attractive alternative to holding perhaps fiat currency or maybe even gold. So that's just the way I see it. Now let's get back more to technicals, right? Where do I see Bitcoin going over the next couple days or even weeks? So obviously we've been seeing a sort of a decrease in momentum in this movement, right? We had a strong movement, and you can see that in the indicators, the MACD, the RSI, they're bearishly divergent right now, meaning that as the price goes higher, you're starting to see the MACD go down, you're starting to see the RSI go down, and really the RSI has been going down since January, right? Let's look at the MACD first. We're starting to see these peaks are going down, and the histogram is starting to show negative momentum, right? Bearish momentum. Same thing with the RSI. We've been seeing just fading momentum. Fading momentum. Now, why is this bad? Because the price has been going up while the indicators have been going down. That's called a bearish divergence. That's not good in terms of the momentum. So it just means that there's a lot more selling pressure now, and that could really stall the price growth. And that's not, like we said, it's not necessarily bad. And I'll talk more about it later when I show you the longer time frames. But we've been going straight up, or not straight up, just up. We've had six monthly green candles, and really the last time we've had this was in 2013, right? So this could be part of the reason why we're starting to see a price stall. I think a lot of the experienced traders are looking at this and saying, hey, we should probably take some profits, because even in a good bull market year, right? In 2017 and 2013, where we had the mega runs, or I like to call them mega runs, just pure euphoria, like just lots of retail participation. We still had like red months, right? We still had red months. And so far we haven't had a red month in the last 6 months. So I think part of the reason why the price is slumping is definitely some people are perhaps anticipating that we're a bit overbought and they want to take some profits just in case this thing comes down. Now, I don't think it's over. I don't think that we're going to peak here. I still think Bitcoin will end up the year above $100,000. Now, I don't know exactly where it's going to peak at, but I think for sure over $100,000. Now, something that people have been talking about is something called a pi cycle top. And this is something that has fairly accurately predicted the top of Bitcoin over the last decade. The last top predicted was in 2017. And basically, when these two lines cross, there's going to be a dotted line that shows when it crosses. And that's usually within 3 days. That's where the top is, right? Same thing happened in 2013 and 2011. And we're getting very, very close to crossing. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the price is going to suddenly collapse and this is the end? Well, not necessarily. Why? Because it's not just about one indicator, right? No one indicator is going to tell you whether the market is at the top or at the bottom. You have to use your indicators in technical analysis in general with other indicators, with other analysis. It's not just one thing that's going to tell you when something's going to happen. So let's look at other things. So this is a 2-year multiplier. Now you can see when the pi cycle top showed you it was the top, this chart was also overbought. But we haven't even crossed above this line. When it becomes overbought, you start to see this red shade. That's usually where you want to start taking profits. And when it's the green shade, means that this is undervalued. This is when you want to start buying. This is when the risk reward is in your favor to buy, right? Same thing with the MVRV score. See how we had this huge spike in early 2013 and late 2013, and also in 2017. We're nowhere near overbought, right? Nowhere near that. And the golden ratio multiplier. See how in early 2013, late 2013, and 2017, we peaked at the dotted line. We're not even close to the dotted line yet. So anyways, that's why I think that this pi cycle top indicator might not necessarily call the top. It's not a reason basically to just sell everything once we hit this top, because we have to look at a confluence of different indicators. We can't just look at one thing, right? Never make your decision based on just one indicator, and look at it in the context of different converging indicators, right? Because the more indicators that are converging and telling you or signaling you a specific overbought or oversold signal, the more strength it has, the more accuracy it has. So let's look in a little closer at the 4-hour chart. Yeah, so right now we're seeing Bitcoin slump, making lower lows and almost forming sort of like a descending triangle. So if this thing continues, this likely will continue lower. And that's just me looking at this objectively. Yes, I would love Bitcoin to continue higher, but we have to be realistic and look at what the chart is telling us, right? No matter what. So, but basically for me, I do think that what we're seeing right now could possibly be a larger play out of what we saw here in late 2020, right? When we reached the previous all-time high, we didn't just break through, we found some resistance at this Fibonacci level. And basically what happened was we went up, we came down, we went up, we consolidated, and we had one more final dip or a bear trap before pushing higher into new all-time highs. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now, right? We're seeing a push up, we see a push down, finding support on the Fibonacci level, up, right below all-time highs, or this Fibonacci level resistance, consolidate, maybe one more push down, a bear trap before we continue higher. And that's what I'm personally looking for. And I think that could be a possible scenario that we're playing out just in a longer time frame, right? And I think it would be perfect if this 50 simple moving average, as time moves on, this thing will go much higher. And the price comes down, touches it, and bounces up. That would be perfect. That would be perfect. So that's what I'm looking for. Let's look at the other charts. Let's look at the futures. Futures, obviously, we still have a lot of gaps, but oh, by the way, just because there's a gap in the future doesn't mean it has to fill. Now, historically, Bitcoin has filled, but I think that's due to the natural volatility of Bitcoin. But just because there's a gap, there's no rule that says it has to fill, although usually they do fill, right? Like we had some gaps over the past few weekends that haven't filled. So yeah, another one is GBTC, and this is very popular for people who want to own Bitcoin in their retirement accounts, or if you're an institution and you want exposure to Bitcoin but you don't want to buy it on an exchange, you can buy GBTC on most brokerages accounts, and this trades over the counter. And an interesting thing about GBTC is that we've been trading at a negative premium for a while now. So as you can see, GBTC has been trading at a negative premium for the past couple sessions for many weeks now, and this is actually very rare. So what does this mean? It means that the value, this is not tracking Bitcoin properly. It's under tracking it, meaning that Bitcoin is more valuable than GBTC, even though ideally GBTC should be tracking Bitcoin one-to-one perfectly. Although historically, GBTC has been trading at a premium, meaning that it's more expensive to buy GBTC than to just buy Bitcoin. But usually that premium is due to just the convenience of holding GBTC rather than just buying Bitcoin. People just find it more convenient and, I don't know, I guess more safe because you don't have to worry about people trying to hack into your account and transfer Bitcoin off the exchange, right? But the fact that it's trading below, it's under tracking Bitcoin, there's two things. First is if you want to buy GBTC, this could actually be a good time because historically GBTC trades at a premium. So if you buy it below premium at a negative premium, this when Bitcoin goes up and GBTC returns back to trading above premium, you get, not only do you get the benefit of riding Bitcoin's price up, but you also get sort of a slight leverage effect of the negative premium going positive premium. And another thing is that, unfortunately, if you are holding GBTC, you are underperforming Bitcoin, which is strange because this is supposed to be tracking Bitcoin, but it is what it is, That's the risk of trading an ETF. It doesn't always track. Usually ETFs do track, or I guess in this case it's not ETF, it's a trust. But usually these sort of these trusts, these exchange traded funds, they're designed to track, but they don't always accurately track. So you just have to keep that in mind. Some of the mining stocks that I like, Riot and Mara, they're very popular. They also track Bitcoin fairly well, although more volatile, right? Any move that Bitcoin has, you're going to see a bigger move in Riot and Mara. So Bitcoin down 5%, Riot and Mara down 7%. So this is just, so by the way, Bitcoin coming down 5% is just recent. The market has closed for Riot and Mara. But if the market was open, Riot and Mara would probably be down like 10 to 15% because it's much more volatile. But I think that if you want a more riskier bet on Bitcoin, if you think it's going up more, then Riot and Mara could be really fun stocks to trade, especially options. This is holding on. MicroStrategy, of course, famous. Michael Saylor, very famous for buying over 91,000 Bitcoin. Just very, very interesting to see these companies. And that was really like the first big purchase, right? They're really leading the way. So Bitcoin right now taking a big dump on the day. And yeah, but not necessarily bad in terms of like, if we do end up following this pattern over here, let me just highlight that. We do end up following this pattern, we're basically right here. So we do have some leeway down here. And again, just to reiterate, I am looking for this 50 daily simple moving average to move up over the next coming days. And if we can see this price come down, touch it, and push up higher, I think that would be a really great opportune time to it's just like a confluence of things coming together. And we're always looking for a confluence of stuff to come together. And that'd be really great for the price to just bounce off of this and find support down at around 50,000 level to also a nice round number, 50,000. So let's look at some of the other news. Fear and greed at 70 right now, which really is not that bad because we, for a long time, since that huge run from October or November of last year, we had really like unnaturally, I would say, elevated fear levels or above 90, which usually when the fear greed stays above 90, it doesn't stay above there very long, right? So the fact that we're finally seeing more like, I mean, I guess this is still technically fear, but more closer to neutral, that just gives me more confidence in terms of potential fuel in the future for Bitcoin to go higher. So more articles talking about volatility, expectations slip low. So the reason why I brought this article up is that usually Bitcoin makes big moves after having low volatility for a while, and we can see that in the here. Let me show you a better chart. So these levels where there's very little volatility and a huge spike up, right? Low volatility and a huge move, low volatility and a huge move. So we could be entering one of those events right now where Bitcoin just goes sideways for a while before moving higher, and that's actually healthy. Like I said, we don't want this thing to just go straight up and just end the bull market this year in the first quarter or the first 2 quarters of the year. So we want it to go and up as slowly as possible before we hit that parabolic rise, because then we'll get the highest price that we can get from this market. And yeah, so veteran analyst Peter Brandt expects Bitcoin to reach 200,000. And I just brought this article up to see, like, there's a lot of different price targets that people have, ranging from 100,000 to $500,000. Some people even have $1 million. Personally, I do think that Bitcoin will peak below $500,000 this time. I'll probably make a video on that later on, but somewhere between 100 to 500,000. I know that's a large range, but I think more realistic around 200, 300,000 at the ultimate top is my opinion. Another article, Bitcoin is a better substitute or more substitute for gold than the dollar. And this is kind of funny because people asked Jerome Powell, who's the federal chair, the head of the Federal Reserve, what he thought about crypto, and he's always trying to answer this awkwardly, or he doesn't want to endorse it, but at the same time he always tries to answer this very carefully, right? Because he has to. What he says will move the market, so he has to be careful what he says. But I just thought it was kind of funny how he tried to brush it off as like, oh, it's not really that useful as a store of value, or he said it's more like it's basically a substitute for gold rather than the dollar. And I think he meant that in like a bad way. It's like it's more for speculation, right? But the thing is, like, that's exactly what we want as Bitcoin like bulls, right? We expect our whole view is that Bitcoin is like a better version of gold, right? It is like it has everything that we like about gold, but none of the flaws, right? The fact that we can send it quickly, we can send a lot of it, and we can move it around quickly. And yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Bitcoin surges in Turkey spike 566% after Turkish lira drops 14%. So just another thing, like, I think we'll see more of this in the future where, like, right now there's this whole, and it's been going on for a while, but like, I think it's accelerating now, especially with coronavirus. Like, all these countries printing money left and right, devaluing their currency. I think people want more stability, so they're going to be looking for alternatives, right? And some of them, they might look for the dollar, but even the dollar, like, we're just printing so much money that eventually people, I think they're going to be putting a large part of their wealth in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin as a way to preserve their wealth. And yeah, we're just going to see, I suspect over the next decade, we'll see more and more of these sort of articles. Yeah. So going back to Bitcoin, I want to look at the longer time frame. So yes, just to give you perspective, this is parabolic, right? We are parabolic right now. Now, is this the blow off top? Personally, I don't think so, but I do think that what we want to see is more of a pullback. So I'm looking for at least one red month, whether it's this month or whether it's next month, because look at 2017. We did have 3 red months, right? It didn't just go straight up. We had 5 green months and a red month. We currently have 6 green months. The last time this happened was in 2013, as I said earlier in this video. So it's very rare that we've had this. But I think that a lot of it is just the excitement of like institutions. They're starting to put money into Bitcoin. They're starting to buy a significant amount on their balance sheet. So I think that a lot of people, they're just very excited about the possibilities of the future of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And so we're seeing a lot of buying, but eventually we're going to have a bit of a pullback, right? Sell off, because that's just the nature of the markets. You know, people want to take profits eventually. And so I think it'll be healthy actually. And I'm expecting a bit of a pullback within the next month or two. But overall, like if we just look at this objectively, it's still bullish, right? Like the weekly and the monthly is bullish. And like I said, if we do end up following something as late 2020 pattern, the weekly does look sort of similar in terms of the setup of the price action before it launches higher. So if we could just do that, that'd be nice. So a nice recovery here, about $500. So yeah, I think Bitcoin continues to go sideways like this, consolidating after an incredible move in the last couple months. But eventually, I do think we'll continue higher as long as we find support above the 50 daily moving average. Like, we don't break these support levels. Like, when we came down in the first major correction of the year in January, we found support and bounced off the 50 simple moving average on the daily chart, right? And if we come down and bounce off this, and we form something like this, also, what we discussed earlier, this confluence of areas of moving averages coming down to 50,000, which is a nice round number, then I think it's a good chance we continue higher. So that's the first line of defense. Second line of defense is this Fibonacci level, and then of course the 100-day simple moving average, which of course also aligns with this previous high around 42,000. So yeah, that's Bitcoin. I'm cautiously optimistic. Not taking any positions right now, just holding my positions for now, and gonna wait and see how the price develops over the next couple sessions. So anyways, thank you for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, informative, please like this video, leave a comment, and of course subscribe for updates. I'm gonna try to upload a video every day. And thank you for watching, and I appreciate your support. Have a good day.